Have you ever wondered what all those signs and symbols and images on the Wheel of Fortune card mean? Hi, my name's Christina. I'm a professional medium, spiritual educator, and tarot reader. And today let's talk about the symbols on the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune card itself is said to represent cycles, the ups and downs that make up life. When I see this card in a reading with a client, usually it means that whatever they're asking me about is going to be a little bit of a mixed bag, a little bit of positive and negative. And really, that's what life is. So let's get into the actual symbols of this. And we are going to be going from center outward. First off, let's look at these alchemical symbols in the center of the wheel. Now, their meanings vary a little bit by tradition. They are mostly considered to be earth, fire, water, and air. However, other traditions also say it's salt, mercury, water, and sulfur. Either way, these are meant to be like the building blocks of the world that we know. The crisscross patterns with the alchemical symbols represent the spokes of a wheel, specifically the wheel of the Greek goddess Fortuna, who was the goddess of luck and fortune. Now let's talk about the letters around the wheel. Depending on which direction you read them, they can spell out tarot or they can spell out Torah. And Torah in tarot, the representations of the Torah specifically, are meant to represent wisdom and knowledge. It's the same kind of representation and symbolism when we see parchments or books in tarot. It can also spell out rota, which is Latin for wheel of fortune. The Hebrew letters in between the letters that spell out tarot or Torah represent the name of God. Now, you might be thinking, Hebrew letters and representations of the Torah, do I have to follow a specific religious tradition in order to read tarot? And the answer is no. When the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck came out, they wanted to make sure that they were using symbolism that a wide range of the public would be able to recognize and extrapolate the meanings from. That's why we see a lot of Hebrew symbolism as well as symbolism from Christian mythology. Let's zoom out a little bit to the outside of the wheel and see what we have here. At the very top, you have a Sphinx type creature. In tarot, Sphinxes represent knowledge and occasionally can also represent strength as well. Now, you can see in this figure, they tend to be holding a sword, which again calls back to that representation of knowledge, because swords in tarot represent communication, thinking, knowledge, wisdom, ideas, all that kind of thing. So the Sphinx is there representing that. If we go down to the outer left side of the wheel, we have a snake. Now, the snake is interpreted a couple of different ways. It can mean just snake, and that's it. It's just a snake, specifically the shedding of the skin and the recreation of that, these cycles, this dying and renewing, death and resurrection over and over again. The snake can also represent Typhon, and Typhon was a Greek character who was the son of Gaia and Tartarus. And he tried to overthrow Zeus at some point, failed, and was banished. Now, besides representing like the life-death cycles and the, coming from these other creations into something new, the snake also represents temptation, sinfulness, bad decisions, again, with the religious symbolism coming in so that people can understand it. So whether you're looking at this as just a snake or as Typhon or just a symbol of temptation and bad decisions, it all means the same thing within the Wheel of Fortune. It is this descent, this descent into death, this descent into bad decisions and temptation and all that kind of thing, followed by the renewal. So when we go to the other side of the wheel, we're going to look at this dog man right here who looks like he's taking a Tinder photo. Now, some people interpret this as just a dog man, but it is usually interpreted to be the Egyptian god Anubis. People of European descent had some very specific ideas about what kind of knowledge and information came from ancient Egypt. So, yeah, Anubis is showing up on this card. Now, why is it Anubis? Anubis is here to represent specifically change, cycles, and ascension. So we have Typhon going down into the descent, and then Anubis back into the ascent. So again, this cycle of death and rebirth, temptation followed by making amends, just the general cycles of life. Going out a little further now into the four corners. What is going on with these four winged creatures? Well, once upon a time, they were thought to represent the four evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, specifically the apostles that told the stories of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. So we have this imagery that's echoing that descent of Typhon, the descent of Typhon and the rising of Anubis. On the other side, we have this being echoed by the four creatures talking about life, death, and resurrection. Now, in modern times, we've gotten a little bit more away from looking at these four creatures as the four evangelists, and a lot of people are now kind of shifting their mindset to decide it's more based on the four stationary signs of the zodiac, which would be Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius. You'll see each of the creatures are holding a copy of the Torah or possibly a book. And as we stated before, either books or Torahs within tarot represent knowledge and wisdom. So overall, the card is representing luck, both good and bad, and these cycles of life that go over and over. So if you see this come up in one of your readings, be prepared. It probably means you're in for a little bit of a mixed bag.